All right. Welcome everybody to another Agent.ai Builder Stories. And today I have Jenn Steele with me, the founder of SoundGTM. Thanks for joining me today, Jenn.
Whatever my name is. Yeah, it's great to see you, Kyle, again.
Yeah, you and I go way back. And, when the team at Agent.ai mentioned me talking to you, and I like, Jenn's building agents now and kind of really taking a look at what you've built. Like, this could be a cool conversation because you have gone all out and are doing things that seem like such obvious things now, but people didn't connect the dots here. And I can't wait to really dive into it with you. But to start, this being a builder story, I'm a comic book fan. Let's give everybody kind of a little bit of an origin story, if we will, about who you are. Talk about SoundGTM, talk about how you got into doing this, and then we'll get into why are you building agents?
You and I go back to HubSpot, where
Way back.
At least for a brief period, you had the misfortune of being my boss before
Just
you went all
a few months.
product and I started taking over teams. But not a bad boss, just to be clear.
Thank you.
From there, I went into product marketing and sales enablement, and from there into chief marketing officer roles, some CRO roles, culminating in becoming the turnaround CEO for Kissmetrics.
So keyword, you're not a software developer at all in this.
I'm an IT person, much like you, Kyle. My first career was in IT before HubSpot recruited me. And so I'm technical, but I am not a developer. If you sat me down in front of a development environment, I wouldn't know how in any language to make it say "Hello World," which is usually the training program, right?
Yeah, that's step one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can hack my way around code. I can break it a lot, and I know how systems talk to each other. I know how APIs work because it's hard to be in marketing and not handle APIs constantly.
Yeah.
But no, definitely not a developer. So yeah, business side, basically. I even have a useless MBA, right? Doesn't that just stamp useless business person on my forehead? So, but I turned around and sold Kissmetrics. One of my investors said, "Do you want to take this platform to market?" And that's what became SoundGTM. And our take over the world goal is to become for B2B companies with up to 100 billion in revenue, both technology and non-technology. We've got more and more inbounds from non-tech. For both tech and non-tech, we want to be your ecosystem growth platform. And what that means is customer referrals, outsourced BDRs, channel programs, reseller, technology partnerships. If you're sourcing business from outside your metaphorical four walls of your company, we want to support it.
Nice.
And so we've got a marketplace in market. We're currently, depends whether you talk to me or my co-founder. He thinks we're out of beta. I think we're in beta for being able to run any owned programs, channel partnerships, customer referrals. So we decided to do that. And I was like, this is fine, but they're still going to fail.
You're very much in the go-to-market phase. How do we figure this out? How do we work with these customers? How do we get them successful? Because we've built a platform, but they don't know what they don't know how to use this. They're not partner marketers.
Sure they don't churn instantly. And honestly, so, I was CMO of a $60 million a year company, and partner marketing was 3% of what my team and my budget did.
Mm-hmm.
And we were Marketo Platinum partners or whatever that was, and this and that, and LinkedIn partners. And yet I was like, oh, yeah, partners are over there somewhere. And I will say that more often than not, I have failed at partner programs, or at least not supported them correctly. And so we couldn't figure out where the revenue was. Did we have revenue? Was it even marketing stuff? What were you even supposed to do with these partners?
Yeah.
It's really hard. And I was like, well, my platform can support people, but they're still going to fail, just like I do. And so Heather K. Margolis, who is also in our larger orbit here, says that the biggest problem that companies under 100 million in revenue have is they don't have the resources to properly plan, execute, and enable partnership programs. And that got me thinking. I then also happened to talk to a friend of ours from Agent.ai, Jenn, and learned a lot more about this. And then I decided to take a weekend off, which is kind of a mistake because your brain starts going. And I realized that AI, especially agentic AI, was in a place where I could actually solve the problem of planning and enablement.
Yeah. You can't execute without a plan, and so many people try to
Hmm.
jump into the execution.
Right.
They don't have a plan.
Or what happens is like somebody in sales like turns to marketing and says, "Hey, I just signed a partnership agreement with these people over here. It's yours now." And marketing's like, "What the actual S? I don't have budget. I don't have people. I don't have anything." So the that next Monday morning after I took that weekend off, created an Agent AI account and started building. And 3 weeks
Wow.
later, launched a bunch of ebooks that I was also in the process of writing to try to figure out this problem, and 7 agents.
Yeah, and I've played with a good many of them, and to your point, it's like trying to come up with a plan. Here's one to come up with a plan. Here's one to like plug in some numbers, give us your persona. We'll help you figure out the right thing to go after, how to think about it. All the different steps, you've really broken them down into like agents, agentic models that you can like, you've got some back end magic that it's kind of plugging into it to really help people like think about this the correct way so that they're successful. And I imagine in a marketplace, like you're not thinking about how are we going to spend all this customer success time with them. But can we do it through these agents? It's brilliant because and I can't wait till people get in there. You need to go play and see what you've done because you've essentially turned all these agents into lead gen and customer success at the same time.
I realized you and I, grew up at HubSpot where we gated everything, right?
Yeah.
We needed those leads, except that we knew that the content had to be valuable, but then we would turn over all these leads to our poor sales team, and these guys would just hammer the phones. And
Yeah.
people were like, all I did was download an ebook. Like, what the heck, people? Um, and so there's been a movement. Obviously, it's been 15 years since I was at HubSpot, but there's been a movement to ungate. And I'm like, well, that's fine. But first of all, if you're running one of my agents, you probably want to keep that content. So I should email it to you. So if you forget to copy it, you're not out of luck.
Right.
And second, I can even find out what you're doing if I download your output or I actually have it posting to a Zapier API and it goes somewhere. But I don't have to spam you. I can look
Yeah.
and see if we can actually help you given what you've been trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to take it a step further, and I think to even like dumb it down and explain it to everybody, like 15 years ago when you and I were both at HubSpot, like it was the first thing I ever found about HubSpot was Website Grader, Dharmesh's
Yes.
first like baby that he invented. And what I'm seeing, what you've built here is like agents have made you essentially be able to build a website grader that's specific to your needs and tie into the, like, give me your email address and I'll send you the report, and you don't have to code any of that. And what Website Grader was so great at is you could give it a URL and it would give you unique insights specific to
Hmm.
your website. And this is doing the same thing based on what you're giving it, what your needs and your personas and what you're trying to go after.
Right. And we're actually calling different LLMs. And I love this about Agent AI is that like you have the ability to use so many different models because there was one use case where Perplexity made far more sense and gave us way better results. So that agent calls
Okay, do
Perplexity.
tell. You've got builders that are listening to this. Like, tease that out. What made you? What was it Perplexity did that you liked more than one of the other ones?
So it's interesting. So a little bit of background. So we already had custom GPTs. We already
Yes.
had an OpenAI account. Although I learned a lot about the OpenAI API to build it in Agent AI. And actually, we have some custom stuff on OpenAI specifically. And so we're actually using our own OpenAI account. And so I can't remember, it was one of the checklists. There's like 3 or 4 checklists in those agents. But one of them, it just didn't quite understand. Like every time I was trying to call ChatGPT, it was just not it wasn't giving me a consistent checklist. There were holes in it, etc. And I think it was one of the ones that needs to look at your website. And, Perplexity
Okay,
is just better at research.
it is.
And so what I realized is that we were definitely missing the research component in order to make these results somewhat usable.
Got it. So you could plug in that piece for that one, super simple, and then get it back over to talking to the two different GPTs together in kind of a sequence of steps.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I do wish I could more easily run stuff in parallel because sometimes it's a two-part agent and having to wait for sequence is just, I like efficiency, but you know what? People could wait an extra 20 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got a resource center of agents now. You really kind of just officially launched it just a couple of days ago. This is being recorded on the 22nd of May here.
Yep. 2 days ago, literally.
Yeah, yeah. And 3 weeks, is that kind of the full time to kind of build out all these agents?
So it was 3 weeks and one day
Okay.
from when I created the OpenAI builder, sorry, the Agent AI builder account.
Crazy. That's awesome. And seven usable functional agents that people are using now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just those seven, actually. I also created two for our referral partners for
Oh
outreach
gosh.
sequences. I made one public one that'll actually generate a 13-touch BDR sequence based on your target persona and your LinkedIn post, so it catches your tone.
So I played with that one. That's the one that's at the 13 step, the referral program. That's the one that's in Agent AI that people can run there. Why 13? That seemed like a lot of excessive steps that like, how long does it take to annoy people to like want them done subscribe? But why 13?
Well, I mean, I asked ChatGPT. No, I'm kidding. Um, because the average of what it takes in B2B to get somebody to get back to you is somewhere around 13 these days.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I think a lot of BDRs I know try three, but I mean, and truth be told, like I sent this launch out to my whole sales database and reawakened some opportunities I thought were dead, dead, dead. And what I said to my team was, "Oh, hey, marketing works."
So you're eating your own dog food already with it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
I wasn't sure if some of it was like, all right, here's 13, pick and choose. Because that's how I was thinking about it. All right, here's 13. Maybe I want to choose the 5 or 10, however I
true,
want. You could kind of pick and choose
true.
just
But it
those.
gives you dates.
Yeah, it did. It did. Like, here's your cadence, this many days,
Yeah.
skip weekends. Yeah. So, like, let's go back to the launch a little bit because now I'm curious there. A couple of days ago, what's been the reaction? Like, what have you seen? Like, how many leads did it generate? How many people have used it? Have you heard back from some of the users and prospects that have started playing with it yet? Or is it still too early to tell?
I think it's a little too early to tell. I think there's only been a few unique people who have played with it.
Okay.
I think there is so much there that this is one of those things that people bookmark and they come back to.
It's not like one tool. It's literally, half a dozen tools
Yeah.
along with half a dozen ebooks to read too. So if someone's
Yeah. Yeah.
ready to like spend a week like you did
Mhm.
and really try to dive in and figure out a partner program, this is where they need to go.
Yes. And we're going to keep the party going, right? I'm going to actually dive into one ebook a week and like, so people will start understanding what they are. And so hopefully that'll help. But honestly, I was a little hesitant to like, here's the omnibus of content and all the agents, but they're all so interlinked. Like I
Yeah.
can't give you an overview without talking about, tracking. But
Yeah.
tracking deserves its own ebook.
Yeah.
So I just ended up releasing them all at the same time and then we'll spotlight.
Well, that's nice. You've got all that in the wild and that can even help you. What is getting traction? All right, let's dive deeper into that. Let's create more content around that. Let's do a webinar on that one.
And it also, this is the first pass of these. As I said, the only way I'm going to make people successful at partnership programs is to basically take my brain and dump it into some agents that they can run. Well, that's going to be paywalls, right? Somehow, just because. Actually, some folks at Agent AI have already given me some really good suggestions. Like I hadn't even thought of knowledge bases. I hadn't even thought of a lot of different ways because I was just like, do I just have to create the biggest custom GPT in the world? Like, what do I have to do? But it turns out you guys already have some solutions that are going to be less clunky, and I appreciate that. But instead of just giving you like right now, you just say, I'm doing a technology partnership, and I last updated my collateral 3 months ago, and it basically gives you a list of common content that you should have and how often it should be refreshed and whether you need to take a look at it now. Well, that's fine. But what about your content? What if you're already running a partnership program? Like,
Yeah.
that's not a useful agent, but we're going to make a useful agent on our platform.
So all you builders out there who are at companies or have jobs, if you don't have a partner program and you want to just play with some agents that are fun, go play with these things. But also, you probably have somebody at your company that does marketing. Hey, y'all think about partnership marketing? Here's a whole bunch of tools. It's cool because it's not like a traditional academy where you go in and like take course. It's like, no, it asks you questions that it gives you actionable, specific things that are relatable to your company and what you're trying to accomplish, and a plan, right? Depending on which one of these you
I
do.
hate academies. I never use them. Like, if it's not usable, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
So I think as a builder, I kind of built something that I would use.
So you kind of teased a little bit. What is next with this, right? Like where are you taking this? You've already started rolling out even more. Do you see some of, because there's one that I played with that you've got steps for it, right? But those don't look like they all link together. Are you thinking about
Yeah.
how you could start linking these different
Yeah. So I
agents
sent you my
together?
my prototype, which is what I'll send investors of like what my product's gonna look like someday. I mean, not the
Yeah,
UX, but the kind of process. So we need to make those a lot smarter. And yeah, have the output of one go into another so that they're actually intelligent.
nice.
And then also, right now, the enablement agent we've got out there, the planning one, goes from a basic list and then whatever the LLM says you should do. But I'm like, no, let's actually put research behind this. Let's look at best practices. Let's actually start looking at what industry you are in and the kind of partnership and what kind of enablement you need to do, right? Like, we're going to make those a lot smarter.
Nice. Nice. So this is just the beginning then, really, just starting out. That's cool. We'll have to
I
come
mean,
back
right
and
now, this
check
is
on
best
you.
practices, right? Website Grader was best practices. And granted, back then, there was definitely a set of best practices. The thing is,
Yes.
with partnerships, there's not. I mean, there are, right? You should still enable, but what does enablement look like if it's a technology partnership versus a
Right.
reseller partnership? Those are
Very
different.
true. Very true. And you kind of tease that out. What is your goal? What are you trying to
Yeah.
accomplish here? Which one of these? Because, like you said, that's going to give you
Mhm.
very different recommendations to people.
Yeah.
It's a lot more nuance and a lot more wide range in how
Mhm.
how people should think about it.
I mean, I am grateful that the LLMs make me look smarter here because I could put in a relatively stupid prompt and have it, before I get, so I could get this out in 3 weeks without having to be like, so how do I get my entire brain into this thing?
So let me ask you this, Jen. What has building this taught you, about, agents, how they work that maybe you didn't know before, or even taught you about yourself, right? As you've kinda, like, literally brainchild dumped this thing into everything you've known to, like, create this thing that many people can use in a very different but new kind of form of scaling, right?
I will admit that well, Kyle, you know this, I'm a bit sarcastic. And so when I first started playing with agents, I'm like, it's just effing workflows. Like, what in
Mhm.
the expletive deleted does anybody care about?
Yeah.
And likewise, I have trust issues with some LLMs. One of our
Sure.
custom GPTs once started writing poetry instead of LinkedIn DMs for our sales playbooks. It's like, okay, so I've got some trust issues. Um, but what this has taught me is that when you can link enough things together, because you can link the output of one LLM to a different model
Uh-huh.
using Agent AI, um, then the game starts changing a bit. It's not quite as dumb. I mean, I'm sure that some people are going to play with these agents and be like, what the expletive deleted just came out of that thing? Because things happen. You never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, you always need to refine your evals. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And humans need to check the output of it, full stop. Um, but I think it taught me that even though, yeah, it's just workflows and yeah, LLMs can be really dumb sometimes, when you put enough together, you get things that are, I don't want to say surprisingly usable because I did put them out, but honestly, the output of these agents shocked me
Wow.
as
Yeah.
to quality.
So, all right, share one. Share one that was, like, super surprising that you didn't think, like yeah, share something.
So as I mentioned, the enablement refresh checklist, right?
Uh-huh.
Where I mean, it is the stupidest agent. It's like, I'm running this kind of program, and it's a free form text field, so you can give a little bit more information. And this is the last date I updated my materials, as if they were all updated the same date, but
Of
Okay.
course.
And when it spits out, and granted, I did have to inform it as to what today's date was, because LLMs do not know. But once I got all that to work, it spits out a checklist as if like this is the right thing for the partner program. It came up with a couple things that honestly I'm not sure I would have come up with just off the cuff. It gave cadences, like you should refresh this every 6 months versus 3 months. And then it gave recommendations as to what you should look at next month. And I'm sitting there going, I realized I suck at project planning, but oh my gosh, it's a project plan.
Yeah. To your point, if something doesn't make sense or isn't usable, just scratch it out. But at least it's
Yeah.
thought about lots more things than you would have. And it's going to miss some stuff, but if that gets you 80% of the way there, it's a huge time save. And especially someone that's trying to do partner planning and partner programs for the first time.
And this much of your budget. Yeah.
Yeah, if it could give you recommendations on, because, these things are not going to invent things that are brand new that no one's ever thought of. It's pulling from somewhere. But that best practice is probably actually super useful for newbies.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would have liked it. Even if you know what to do, isn't it easier to start with somebody else's checklist? And
Yes,
once upon a time, we would Google for best practices in this kind of thing.
100%.
And this is more custom. So I'm like, oh, cool. Even better.
What's a challenge or lesson that you learned that you want to share with other builders as you kind of went through the process of setting these things up? Anything else besides kind of, working with the different models and such?
There was I talked about convincing the LLMs what day today was.
Yeah.
So that one was a fun one. Luckily, on Agent.ai, somebody had already written an agent to do that. So I actually called that agent and grabbed it from there.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. Thank you,
Shout
other
out to that
builders.
person.
I'm sorry, I don't remember who you are. So that one was one of them. Having to explicitly tell it the formats. So as I said before, I have an output and I have an email. Well, email's better in HTML and output's better in Markdown.
Mhm.
So I had to pull from the JSON blob that the LLM gave me. I had to pull it and then ask it to format it in two different ways.
So there's some of those gotchas about make sure you've got the formatting properly and from the
Yes.
structured data.
Yeah. And transparently, I did use another tool to skim the agents. So when you go
Sure.
into them, they've got a UX that's not Agent.ai.
Yeah, and if we kind of skipped over that a little bit, but that's the other cool thing. You've got these on your subdomains on your site, skinned in your branding, but they're all Agent AI tools in the back end. Well, not
Yeah.
all of them, but a lot of them are.
No, they
Um,
all are.
which is, and we'll definitely have that in the show notes because people should go look and play with this because
Yeah.
it's kind of how do you get this out of the ecosystem so anybody
Mhm.
can try them. It's a
Yeah.
very powerful, like more advanced way to like take stuff to the next level.
Yeah. So I used a vibe coding platform and I swore far more at that platform than at Agent.ai because it turns out I'm better at not putting things in natural language for computers to understand because I talk a little funny.
Yeah.
So it was so much easier for me to do Agent.ai and be like, oh, that's where I messed up that step. Let's try this.
Kind of wrapping up here, Jen, like how could others in the community support you? Like play with, I'm sure play with what you're doing, give you feedback, break it. Are you
Yeah.
looking for other collaborators, testers, things like that?
First, I want to help, right? I put these together to help. And I know that other companies are charging for these guys and things like this. And I'm not going to charge for the website grader. I'm going to charge for the HubSpot, right? I'm going to charge for
Right.
the more advanced stuff. I also plan to build on Agent.ai. And so because I'll be building that over the next, I don't know exactly how long, probably only a few weeks, given how fast we can go these days.
Nice.
But tell me what you'd like to see. If you do play with these, tell me where you're running into problems. Tell me when you're like, this is dog slow. And if you're one of those people that's amazing at optimizing Agent AI stuff, since you're probably an Agent AI builder, let me know because I might actually show it to you and have you tell me where I went wrong.
Nice. Nice. So what's the best way for people to connect with you? Obviously, I know you're big on LinkedIn. What other places? And I'll make sure all these links are in the show notes. So where else can people find you and connect with you?
LinkedIn is actually the only social platform that I spend more time on than anything else. Like I'm on Instagram like once a week. I have Blue Sky accounts. I mean, I am Jenn Steele everywhere, JennMsteele. LinkedIn is fast, or you can always go to soundgtm.com. No, I have not yet. I own the soundgtm.ai, but I haven't made that our primary domain yet.
Yet. Okay.
And if you really want to get in touch with me, you can always use the contact us form. Too many people spam my email as it is, and I don't want you to get lost in that shuffle.
Love it. Awesome. Well, Jen, this has been a pleasure just kind of catching up with you and kind of hearing some of this cool stuff you're doing. And, everybody out there, like, go play with it. This is a new way to think about using these things for lead gen and marketing purposes and sharing free resources with people that are customized to them. In a public fashion, right? Like they don't have to go to Agent AI and log into the platform and search for your build. They can get it externally now. So really cool stuff. And once again, thank you. Any last thing you want to shout out or say before we kind of wrap it up here, Jen?
I want to thank Agent AI. Like, you've changed the direction of my company, and hopefully you've helped or enabled me to help like countless founders and marketers out there.
That's high praise right there. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and we can't wait to continue to watch what you build next. And we'll have to catch up and do another one of these in 6 months and see like how it's gone since you just launched all these things and what you're working on then. So thanks again,
Sounds like
Jen.
fun.
And yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch and continue to watch your journey.
Awesome. Thank you.
And to everybody out there watching, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back for another Builder Stories with Agent AI. And until then, keep building, everybody.